A busy Saturday of Premier League action alongside Nigel Reo-Coker. I'm Trost Martin. Nigel, you know quite a bit about playing in the Premier League, and this time of year, the games come thick and fast, and a lot can change with just a couple of different results, and we're starting to see that already in the new year.
Yes, it's when players get tunnel vision. A lot of games come in so quickly. Managers have to rotate sides. And I also say it's called sacking season. It's not great, but it's the reality of football. This is the busy end of the football table when it starts to really take shape. Managers under a lot of pressure and results.
Lopetegui at West Ham, that's one, your former club. Let's take a look at all of the scores from the action today. Newcastle United with a big 2-1 win at Tottenham. We're going to talk about that one. Bournemouth, they continue their good form. 1-0 victory over Everton. Aston Villa with a 2-1 result at home against Leicester City. Huge win for them. Chelsea, they thought they've got the win locked up against Crystal Palace, who got a goal in the 82nd to walk away with a point. And Southampton, their struggles continue, falling 5-0 at home against Brentford. And Manchester City, are they starting to find their way back? 4-1 victory over West Ham, a good result for them as they had been on the struggle bus. Let's talk about all the action today, starting with this Tottenham side. Nige, what's going on with Ange Postecoglou's side at the minute?
Well, it's Tottenham. It's what we know and what we see as Tottenham. It's still finding a way to win, making tweaks, and they just don't have it. And I think the other thing I look at this Tottenham side now is I start to question leadership. Yes, the manager has his footballing philosophy. The players do what the manager tells them. But there's also responsibility that players have to take. The great teams that play in the Premier League have leaders on the pitch, and Tottenham don't seem to have that. There's a little bit of controversy in the equalising goal for Newcastle with maybe a handball outside by Joe Linton, and obviously Newcastle go on to score Anthony Gordon. And then Tottenham lose 2-1. But it's something that I could see coming. When even Tottenham take the lead, you could see that for some reason something will happen in this game, that Tottenham will find a way to lose it. It's not a great run of form. It's credit to Newcastle. They're on a sensational run of form on the other hand. 6 straight wins now. Their last loss was against Brentford. And for me, one of the key factors is Tonali. Tonali came on as a sub. He's played every game since. And Newcastle on a 6-game winning spree. And that's a great midfield combination of Tonali, Joe Linton and Guimaraes. And they, for me, are the key factor.
6 straight wins, 5 of those in the Premier League, and now sitting in 5th place. How do you see Newcastle going about the rest of this 2024-25 season?
Oh, it's great. Everything's clicking into place. And it also helps, Ali, when you've got a striker scoring goal. Isak, conversations out there. Is he the best striker in the Premier League right now? When I say striker, yes, he is the best striker. He can do everything. Super talented player, hitting form when it matters. They've got a great foundation, and that belief is starting to come there now. Players are back fit, and they are one of the teams, the informed teams in the Premier League that no one wants to face.
That's for sure, and that's also why some teams have their eye on Isak and what he's been doing this season with all of that production. All right, Manchester City, a big 4-1 win against West Ham. But Nige, was this scoreline reflective of the performance that you saw of Manchester City, a team that has been desperately trying to find their way back to winning ways?
Well, it's a result that can bring back confidence into Manchester City. Was it convincing? You'd probably say yes, because West Ham weren't great, and it's another poor result for West Ham coming off a huge loss to Arsenal, and then now this one. Manchester City, they still show vulnerabilities to me, and when they play better opposition, they could still be beaten. But for the players, it's confidence. It's getting that winning mentality back, and I know Pep Guardiola still knows his hands are full in what he has to do for this Manchester City side, and now we're coming into the January transfer window. The recruitment has to be spot on in what Pep Guardiola brings into this City side, if they bring people in to really get back onto, let's just say, a top 4 finish is probably their goal.
West Ham needing to figure things out. They are bleeding goals left and right. 4th most goals conceded in the Premier League at this point in the season. Chelsea today, so close to getting all 3 points, which would have helped them quite a bit, because when you look at the table right now, it is really close in that 4th, 5th, and even 3rd place position. Nottingham Forest on 37 points, Chelsea on 36, and then Newcastle right on their heels with 35 points. For Chelsea, how do they need to find some more consistency, perhaps going forward, to stay in that title-winning conversation?
Well, again, Ali, it's Chelsea showing the youth, the inexperience that they've got. They're exceeding expectations, and credit to Maresca, because he's played it so well in the media game. In the start of the season, there was no expectations when he set out there to the media, no expectations. No one knew what would happen with this Chelsea side. Then they started to exceed expectations tremendously. And then people having conversation, are they in the title race? And Maresca always played that down. And we can see the reason why he's playing it down, where behind closed doors, I believe he wants to be competitive. I believe he wants to surprise people. but he does want to put the burden of pressure on these players. And when you look at the recent run of results, you can see that Chelsea now are starting to show the youth and inexperience of what it means to compete for a Premier League title. A game that they really should have put to bed against a Crystal Palace side, a very stubborn Crystal Palace side. They didn't do it and they were punished. Had some good chances, some good plays, and that's when it comes about the experience that's needed for Premier League title run-ins. And Chelsea just are not quite there yet, but they're still definitely in the race for a top 4 finish.
Also important to note, Manchester City, I just talked about how close the teams in 3rd, 4th, and 5th are on points. Manchester City just 1 point behind Newcastle now on 34 in that 6th place spot. Where do you see Manchester City finishing after what has been an up and down campaign so far?
It has been an interesting campaign. Some players will be coming back. I think that with Manchester City, you have to look at the business they do in January. And that's what makes this Premier League title race so good. Because for so many of the clubs in the title race, it all depends on the business that they do, because different clubs have different needs. And I'm fascinated to see what they do to see where they can finish.